it's a form of prayer. That's why Paul could say pray unceasingly. How do you pray unceasingly? He's not talking about go sit in your closet, never leave, and pray all day. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about, listen, let your thoughts be filled with what God has said and done in Jesus all the time.
All the time.
Yes.
Let your thoughts be filled with that. Let that be the meditation of your heart. I mean, Joshua said, he who meditates on the law of the Lord day and night shall have great success. That's what he said.
David said it too in Psalm 1.
Right, so meditate is not...
It all has to do with you meditating on it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Meditate. Look, the serpent can't create anything. All he can do is try and hijack what God, what is of God, and then try to make it for himself. So any idea that meditation is somehow some new age thing is a lie. They've hijacked something from God and now tried to purpose it to use it for themselves, which is what you see everywhere. You know, it's not Babylon that gave birth to God's ways and God's thoughts. Babylon hijacked God's ways and God's thoughts and then perverted it. It's not Babylon that came up with the sacrificial system and then Moses adopted it from Babylon. That's not how it worked. Sacrificial system came from God. Not so that we would sacrifice animals, but to point towards the sacrifice that would set us free from death. That would set us free from death reigning over us. You know, whenever I hear people say that God didn't desire the sacrifice of Jesus, it boggles my mind, because the first thing I think is the other side of that thought is that means God desired for death to reign over man for all time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Listen, Adam died.
Yeah.
He died. Death was not a figment of his imagination.
Right.
And every single person from Adam to Moses died. So it wasn't a figment of their imagination that they died. And it wasn't because God killed them. It was because there was something called death reigning over them. Death was reigning over them. The only way that death could be removed from reigning over them if someone could come and absorb their death into himself. Now, an animal cannot absorb my death into himself and then set me free. For he's not a human being.
Right.
He's an animal.
Right.
So he can't absorb my death. So the animals only spoke forward to point to Christ who would come as the once for all time sacrifice for sin. Not a sacrifice to God. See? Big difference. Not a sacrifice to God. God's the one who provided himself as the sacrifice for sin. Meaning he absorbed the wages of sin into himself, which was death, in order that we could be free from death reigning over us. Now listen, if there wasn't a sacrifice, if Jesus didn't offer himself, then somebody please tell me how death would no longer reign over us.
Makes a pretty Loctite argument.
No, you're right, because it's like the fact that